What's up, guys? So today is a pretty big update for Slayer. Tons of new dungeons added or extended to, and Neves Cave finally not removed, but like shortened down, so not every single task is in that one dungeon. You're gonna have to go around the map a little bit more for Slayer. So it's a little more like old Slayer, but anyway, let's get into it. So I'm just going to go over this, the pictures of these caves, the overview of them really quickly, and then I will have a clip in the background playing of me going to each dungeon and walking around in the dungeon and just kind of showing what's there, what it's like, while I talk over it. So really quickly, with these pictures, here's Neves Cave, the new one. So it's been shortened or cut down on quite a bit. Then we have the Chasm of Fire, which is the new dungeon over in Zaya, with the lesser demons, greater demons, and black demons. Then you have the Taverley dungeon expansion right here. Here's the map. The darkened areas are the old areas, and the more bright area, like right here, is the new area. So onto the Kraken Cave. This area over in the Pisgah Taurus area for your cave krakens, as well as water fiends. And then the Kalphite Hive. This dungeon is basically exactly the same as it was in Neves Cave. It's just been moved over to next to the Shantae Pass. They did add a few extra spawns as well, though. And then you have the Brim Haven dungeon expansion. They added a new, pretty large area of metal dragons just to the west of where the iron and steel dragons have been for a while. And there's a new entrance to get into the Brim Haven dungeon as well. And then the Slayer dungeon, or Slayer Tower dungeon, they added a new floor, a basement floor. So that's underneath where you start out at. And inside there is Abbey Demons, Necrils, Bloodvelds, and Gargoyles. And then there's the Smoke Devil dungeon. And it is exactly the same as in Neves area. I think they added a couple extra spawns. Or never mind, they just added a little bit of paint. But everything else remains the same about it, except for the area. It's now south of Council Wars. Okay, so the first dungeon I'm going to show off is Neves New Cave, the cut-down version of Neves Cave. You should be able to cannon everywhere in here, except for maybe the Inkus. You get it the same way with the Slayer Ring. And yeah, there's Hellhounds, there's Inkus, there's Bloodvelds, there is a shortcut, and there's Aberrant Spectres. And there's a shortcut to get to the Aberrant Spectres, which takes 72 agility. If you don't have that, you're going to have to walk around the cave, and it's going to be a little bit slower to get to the Aberrant Spectres. And onto the next cave, which is the cave over in Zaya. The fastest way to get there is using a fairy ring, a new fairy ring. It's DJR. That'll put you right next to the entrance. That's also probably the new fastest way to get to Lizardman, but if you have to walk there, you can use your Xeric's Talisman to teleport to the lookout and then walk over there, as I show in the video. That is a pretty long walk, though. And yeah, the cave looks awesome. It's really well done, I think. Looks amazing. The top floor is lesser demons. You go down a floor, and then there is greater demons. Quite a few spawns you can cannon here, so that's awesome. And to get down to the last floor, which is black demons, you have to go down to the northeastern part of the second floor. And the bottom floor is pretty packed with demons. Tons of spawns all over the place. And it looks really well done cave. So next up is the Taverley dungeon expansion. So pretty much the entire dungeon is exactly the same. It's been untouched except for one spot. They added some stairs near the entrance. No agility required to get there. To get to the dungeon is the same as usual. I'd use a Taverley teleports tab. But once you're there, you go down the entrance, head north, and there should be some stairs. Go up the stairs, and there is some baby black dragons and some black dragons. Quite a few spawns. It's pretty nice. And on to the next dungeon, which is the Pisgah Taurus dungeon, which has water fiends and cave krakens. So to get there, I'd use a fairy ring AKQ. You can also use a Western banner if you have hard or elite diary done. And water fiends are actually really good. I'm surprised more people don't kill them. Their drops are similar to gargoyles, Karasks, and Necrils. Really good. But on to the next dungeon, which is the Kalphite Hive. So it's exactly the same as what it was in Neves Cave, except for it's just been moved to a different area. So it's over east of the Shantae Pass. Fastest way to get there is probably either the Dueling Ring teleport to the Duel Arena, or using a Polynavich teleport and using the magic carpet, or possibly a fairy ring over to the Kalphite Queen. One of those three options is probably the fastest. Next up is the expansion to the Brimhaven dungeon. As you just saw, I went into a new area, a new entrance. Cost 5,000 trading sticks to unlock. The fastest way to get there is probably with a Taibo teleport or the fairy ring that takes you down to the south of that area. And yeah, once in that dungeon, you head down south as I showed, and you can find a whole bunch of new metal dragons. And finally, this Slayer Tower expansion. It's the basement to the first floor, and down here there's tons of blood velds, tons of necrals, tons of spawns. I would recommend, if you're killing blood velds, head here if you're not cannoning, because it can get annoying fighting over spots with the people cannoning. And if you're not cannoning, this spot is awesome because there's just tons of spawns. You won't be fighting over spawns at all. So I recommend going there if you're not cannoning. And finally, we have the new area for the Smoke Devils. It's just south of Castle Wars. So basically the same layout as before. And that is all the new dungeons and the expansions and everything. So all that's left is some in other news and bug fixes. So the 2017 Easter event has now been removed. The current Deadman season has now come to an end. And seasonal worlds have been closed. The Lunar spellbook has been rearranged to the correct order. And the gilded boots have been given a trim to match the rest of the gilded armor. I haven't seen any of those, so I'm not sure what they look like. I'm not sure if they're going to look better or worse. Here's the new Lunar spellbook, so these spells are now in the right order. Finally, bunch of people voted no to rearranging the spellbook. I'm not sure why. But so the other stuff, the color of the Holy Book has been updated to better match other Saradomin items. So this is the new book, Saradomin book, dark blue. I feel like this should have been the change before. Like, they changed the Armadillo book. I think the Armadillo book should have stayed white, and they should have changed the Saradomin book from the beginning. But yeah, it matches kind of the other Saradomin items now. And the GE value of Third Age Cloak, Wand, and Bow and the Elysian Sigil have been adjusted to better reflect the actively traded price. The engine team's done some under-the-hood work that let us optimize our player-owned house code, meaning we were able to remove an annoying delay when you're removing furniture in costume rooms. Then just some bug fixes. So fixed a graphical issue on male characters when wearing Inku's leggings with a crab claw hook. Prevented an error from occurring when entering an instance from the ice path. Attempting to uncharge the toxic staff of the dead with no inventory room will now correctly tell you why it cannot be uncharged. The deviant specters should no longer wander into the Twisted Banshee area within the Catacombs of Kourend. Dagonoths should no longer wander into the deviant specter area within the Catacombs of Kourend. Jiminua on Karamdra now stocks 0 pure essence to ensure there is always room to trade the item with her. It is no longer possible to take filled rations from pest control into barbarian assault. Players on the permanent Deadman world can no longer enter the Chamber of Zarek during combat. In resizable mode, more of the screen around the minimap can now be clicked to interact with the game world behind it. The message when breaking a Flamtier bracelet no longer calls it the expeditious bracelet, and the Blast Furnace shop now destocks over time if overstocked. That is all the updates for today. Thank you guys for watching, and see you next time.